When I think Chattajack, the imagery that comes to mind is Viking Armada meeting poetry in motion. It's nature and competition. We've been filming Chattajack for 4 years now, so we feel like we know the race, we're a part of the race, we have become part of the Chattajack family, and we get this opportunity to tell this story of this race that they call Chattajack. I think when we started filming for Chattajack, when Ben reached out, we met at a coffee shop over in Fort Oglethorpe, and he was telling me this idea of what Chattajack was, and so we were excited to film it, but I didn't understand the scale of what it looked like. I didn't know what 31 miles racing down the Tennessee River through the gorge felt, looked, or sounded like. All of these things were great on paper, but when you got to experience them in person for the first time, it was pretty epic. We learned very quickly what the parameters were and our limitations as far as filming this event actually were. Over 4 years of doing Chattajack, We've learned a lot. We realized like it takes a village to be able to produce the content and the stories that we produce. And so we wanted to share as 148 Films, share our side of the story to give you a glimpse and kind of paint a picture of what it looks like to film, to execute, to pre-produce this event. Chattajack begins each year when I get an email or a text message from Ben Freiberg, who is excited about the new artwork. Or that begins our production process. That usually comes in April. But the idea is that sets the theme and the tone for the entire year. So our job after that is to take that theme or tone and come up with some sort of story that fits within that same realm, but tell it through the racers. Our crew this year consisted of 6 people. We had a land crew. I'm drone operator, so I fly the sky from the beginning of the race all the way through the gorge, and then the end at the very finish at Hell's Bar Dam. Daniel Ashworth is land crew operator plus drone pilot. So he runs a camera and gets some close-ups at the start, and then he actually has a checkpoint that he goes to, flies a drone to a spot that we can't access within the time limitations of the race. Malachi Birch was our gimbal operator. So he's getting everybody's reaction. He's getting people putting stuff into the river. He is getting people dancing and mahaloing the entire time. And then Ben Turn was our behind the scenes guy this year. So he was going through and filming the content of us filming the content. On the boat crew, you got Joseph Cochran, who's going to be running a Komodo X on a 70 to 200 lens. So he's capturing everything that's going to be super, super slow motion, but also just some regular speed stuff. But the idea is the Komodo is going to capture the high quality content and get those just real dreamy cinematic looks that we're looking for. Whereas Idris Garcia is shooting on a C70. He's actually capturing just racers' reactions and some of those details throughout the day. And so that's our crew. We split them up. We actually start separate and eventually come together at the end of the race, and then we kind of knock some cameras off, put those away, and kind of limit what we film because we don't want to film too much with a 6-person crew, because the last thing we want is 35 hours of footage to make into a 90-second to 2-minute video. The day before the race, they have pre-race check-in. That's when we start filming. We do interviews with some of the racers that we've already pre-chosen. Friday night before the race, the sun is setting, boats are all painted across the riverfront, and racers are waxing their boats, they're praying, they're getting prepped. And so our job is to capture some of those stories being told and build anticipation with that imagery into our video. Next morning, we drive downtown. We get downtown around 6. People are already showing up. They do the national anthem. There's lots of safety announcements. And then they blast music. And I mean blast music. It feels like you're in a subwoofer. They do 3 heats. So the first heat, they pack paddle boarders, small boats, canoes. There's probably 300 or 400 people that get put on the water. They follow up with another heat, which is like surf skis, a little bit faster boats, and so they go through there. And then the last heat is the OC6s, which is the big whales of the actual event. By that time, the sun is rising, it's highlighting all the racers. You have this beautiful rim light that touches all the hairs and paddles and the water as it's splashing up. They go, and the emotions come out, and the shotgun goes off, and it's wild. At this point, boat crew, they're kind of waterlocked, so we can't pick them up until like 11 or 11:30 because they're with the race director and he's doing his thing, so they're along for the ride, so they've got a couple snacks. Land crew, we may or may not go to Waffle House. We've got an hour, 45 minutes, somewhere right in there before like people reach the next checkpoint that we need to film at. I think it's necessary to go get some hash browns scattered and covered, and couple breakfast sandwiches, maybe a waffle. It's actually a pretty memorable 30-40 minutes that we have there.
I'll drink coffee. What am I doing?
The next stop is the gorge. During that time, it's only flying. You hear some people rowing, and you hear the coxswain sometimes cheering and chanting, but you're just in this gorge and it is just quiet. Fast forward past that, we pick up the boat crew, we all head to the finish. Hales Bar Dam is just a story in itself. We walk out onto this floating dock that has these houses that are attached to it. And there's probably 150 people that are all across this dock, and then that's the finish line. We just find our spot on this dock. We set up a single camera that's gonna capture these like deep emotions of tears, of joy, of sheer exhaustion. Set up, I fly during that moment too, because there's nowhere else to go. There's no other, you can get some crowd shots, but we're physically limited. There's this long stretch and you see this dam, and then you have to come around it and you got to make this turn. And when you make this turn as a racer, to see hundreds of people going bananas for you. We're at the end, we're filming all this, people are paddling, some are tipping over, some are getting back up, they're finishing this last leg of the race, and they cross that finish line, and then it's just like this release. And some people are like, yeah, that was nothing. 31 miles, I do this in my sleep. And some people are like, this is a life-changing moment for them. And our job is to capture those different emotions as people come across. After everybody gets finished with this race, everybody goes back downtown and they have custom mugs. There's all these awards they give out, everything from like medals to belt buckles, and they have giveaways, and everybody is literally just having a good time. You know, set up a camera, typically on a tripod for that with a 7200, and we just capture emotions. And that's what kind of wraps up the story of the whole day. Our goal is not to overload post-production, and so that's why we limit ourselves the entire time. We walked away from Chattajack 965 clips, which is pretty small compared to what it normally is. We started with about 1,200, and we were able to delete and trim the fat, so to speak. In years past, we've had 3.5 terabytes of footage. We've had almost 2,000 clips, and so this is a trial by fire. Like we've learned what not to do. It's dangerous overshooting this event. So we wanted to create this 2-minute story and then some verticals, and there's this little package that comes with it. And so we take those 965 clips and we find music, we build the audio, and then it's a matter of putting the puzzle pieces in where they need to go at that point. Joseph took over the timeline and the post-pro of everything, and then he does grading, organizing, sequencing, and Daniel helped out with the sound design of it all, because there's not just the visuals, there's the sound side of it too. And so we wanted to tell a deeper story this year, and so we really wanted to hone in on that sound design of this video. And so in post-production, I think all in, we got to turn this around in usually a week or two at the max. And so it's a full week process just putting the story together. So one of the things that we wanted to do to elevate it this year was we had Idris put together a script that would be read by a professional voiceover and have this narration to the idea and the concepts and the elements of the race to start the video. We feel like we're a part of the Chattajack family, and we want to tell the story of our brothers and sisters. And so 4 years in, it has been an incredible journey, and this video is constantly up in the top 1, 2, or 3 of the videos we produce every year. We produce thousands of videos all the time. We want to say thanks, Chattajack, for having us a part of this. We look forward to next year. We hope you enjoyed the story of kind of peeking back into the behind the scenes of this story that we tell through Chattajack, and hopefully this is something that's going to make you a better filmmaker, going to make you appreciate this event more, or something that just inspires you to go out and do these things and create stories on your own.